health and wellness and longevity and life hacks and how we can live happier.
Yeah, that's it. What I'm right on. I'm just all about, what we can do now to optimize our health in the future, and especially with people that are, we're talking about fertility at age 50. I don't want to have kids, but at age in my 30s, when I was trying to have kids, if people know me, I don't have children, and there's probably some reasons why I can never
Yeah.
conceive. And I was doing low carb, but talking about fertility today and endurance athletes, chronic stress is my big area. That chronic stress impacts our hormones and doing
Yes.
too much
Yeah.
of everything as well as nutrition. But the food we eat is a stress. So talking about the big, not little, but the different stressors that we have in our environment and our lifestyle and how we live life, and then those hidden sources of internal stress that can cause fertility issues. And I love that you found that area. We all have to find our niche, and me is focusing on endurance athletes, how to optimize their health for their future self. But talk about why you felt nutrition was a big thing for our hormones in order to be fertile or to improve the aging process in general.
Well, inflammation is the cause of all disease,
Mhm.
depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, psychosis, arthritis, psoriasis, kidney stones, migraines, bowel bleeding, ADHD, infertility, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, endometritis, uterine fibroids, thyroid dysfunction, kidney dysfunction. Just name a cell line in your body, it's caused by inflammation.
Mm.
So for years, I was a crazy runner, a swimmer, biker. I hated swimming, but I swam. I did all the triathlete stuff, and I lifted weights. I injured myself time and time and time again, and I realized that there's something breaking down in me, and I didn't know why. And I fell over paleo diets about 25 years ago. I fell over Atkins diet because I was like, I always loved to be lean and strong and healthy and get out there and run with my brothers and sisters that are out there, like in being endurance athletes. And if you think about it, life is an endurance game. We're all athletes. I don't care if you practice being an athlete or not. We're all endurance athletes. That's what we're born to do.
Mm.
And my sister died of diabetes at 52. My best friend from medical school, Dave Kilmer, died at 52 of lymphoma. He was healthy. And so I went on this journey to figure out, like, what's going on with all of us? Why are we suffering so much? And probably around 20 years ago plus, I started doing blogging on meditation, prayer, positivity. I probably had 5 people that ever listened to me. And and then and then when I tripped over keto carnivore, I was like, whoa, I suddenly arthritis, psoriasis, migraines, kidney stones went away. I've never felt better in my life. And I've seen so many people conceive and deliver babies by reducing inflammation. And now, again, that's my specialty. But when I healed, I'm like, okay, well, how is nutrition positively affecting us and negatively affecting us? Because the question is, what's a healthy diet? It's clean, organic. Um, you just name these things that we just call it healthy. And if I hear those words, clean, healthy, organic, I say, you're not eating a healthy diet. You're eating a deadly diet.
Mm.
Because the craziness about healthy diet is completely opposite than we're taught in medicine and that what we teach you in medicine.
Mm.
So, and we can unpack that a little bit more. Again, you can. I'm carnivore, but you can do keto, and you could be much healthier than you've ever known. But the one thing no one's eating, vegans don't eat it, vegetarians don't eat it, Mediterraneans don't eat it, and most pescatarian and carnivarians don't eat it. They don't eat fat
Mm.
because we're afraid of fat. We're afraid of being fat,
Yeah.
and we're taught fat causes disease and don't eat it. And it turns out the simple answer is eat the fat, be the fittest, fertile, and most fantastic you can ever be. And when I say fat, I mean lard, tallow, butter. I mean, we are cutting the fat away from our diets. And if you ever look up protein poisoning, you'll be like, wow, I never heard of that. And so what I did personally, because my patients were getting pregnant on paleo, I'd like, okay, what's paleo diet? Because doctors don't know anything about diet.
No.
And neither do nutritionists, by the way. Nobody does, because the diets we're told to eat is propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and too many of my endurance athletes are suffering. They can't run anymore. They can't bike. They can't swim. They can't do anything, because as we age, like our cars. I did a TEDx talk a few years ago. I called it the human Ferrari. We're like a car. The more it's exposed to the elements, the quicker it breaks down, and the faster you think you want to go, and the more miles you put on a short amount of time, you get damaged. Keto, carnivore, faith, and fasting are the simple things that any of us could do to reduce inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
And learning how to do that for you as an individual, because we're all individuals, but we're also the same, more so than people know.
So going back to what you said earlier to unpack, I always find this interesting when people say I eat a healthy diet. So what is you're saying being healthy? It just so many people everyone has different definitions. So what do you find as ideal health? Or I know Dr. Barry talks about the proper human diet. So what's your definition of, optimal healthy nutrition plan for someone that wants to thrive as they age at
Well,
different hormone levels too?
I imagine we all want to thrive as
Mm-hmm.
we age, and aging is a good thing. Um, and to me, it's fatty meat, salt, water, one meal a day. If you
Mm-hmm.
happen to eat plants, you want to be very discerning and cook them well, kill the microbes, simplify the sugars, deactivate the toxins, lectins, oxalates, phytates, and heroin, cocaine, and marijuana. Now, I just use those as very general terms but goitrogens and many other substances, glutens, are in the plants that are highly damaging to us. And when we use, again, fruit, fiber, vegetable, seeds, and nuts, right? Those sound like healthy things, right? But in fact, many people are allergic to seeds and nuts. Fiber ferments in the gut. And my daughter would die to an avocado and a banana. How many people do you know have had an anaphylactic reaction to ribeye steak?
Yeah, no one.
Nobody, nobody. But these are very, very radical concepts.
Yeah.
So to me, the proper human diet, my good friend Ken Berry coined that. I call it the way. It's the lion's way.
Mm-hmm.
Eat like a lion, because that's who we are. We're not a gazelle. You want to go on a long-term run, eat like a gazelle, but that's not who you are. You are a lion. Even if you're a cheetah, cheetahs don't run long distances. They go short spurts. We're probably walkers and sprinters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can't, I mean, I used to run 10 miles 3 days a week. Like, it was like I hated running growing up. I couldn't run. My good friend Dave was like, he just like, we go for a run, he'd be like gone. And I'd be like huffing and puffing and barely moving. But I would say that we are lions. We evolved likely eating fatty, raw organ meats, fat,
Mm-hmm.
and bone marrow and brains. That's how we evolved. We came out of the trees to eat the grass, eaters, not the grass. We are good like wolves and lions as hunters. Plus, we know how to hunt in a pack and make the tools and the weapons in order to better enable us to gather the food that made us human. Now, you can eat plants, you could be a vegan or a vegetarian, but it's full of toxins and fermenting substances that actually ferment in our colon. And
Mm-hmm.
so most people don't know about fermentation in the small intestines and in the large intestines. Actually, fermentation happens in the gums, the esophagus, the tonsils, all the even in the stomach, we're fermenting, and fermentation makes heat, alcohol, aldehydes, gas,
Mhm.
bloating. Is that good for us? It is not. And so when people tell us that our bacteria, yeast are good for us, they actually don't know what they're really doing in there. They're trying to eat us and kill us. And so, again, my grandmother lived 104. She smoked Pall Malls and drank Manhattans. Okay. Now, she didn't run or exercise. She may have had some dementia and things like that. She suffered. I know it. We wouldn't recommend that as a good diet. But we are all on a struggle to find, what should I eat? What's good for me? What's bad for me? And for me, bacon, eggs, butter, beef, Kiltz's ice cream, salt, one meal a day. That's the very best thing, because your adipose tissue is not only the fuel for your mitochondria, it's the building blocks for your body and a baby.
Mm.
And it's kind of hard to see these ideas. They're radical. They're out of the usual, because glucose is your energy when you're running fast, right? Until you deplete your glycogen. Have you ever measured glycogen?
Well, I do metabolic fitness testing and I measure at rest what fuel source they're burning with the oxygen carbon dioxide mass, look in the RER exchange ratio. So that's the only way I can measure fuel source, but
Right,
not
but
glycogen.
but but that does not tell you the mitochondrial source of acetyl-CoA.
No.
See, acetyl-CoA comes from fatty acids, two carbon chain clipped
Mm-hmm.
off the speed of light. Now, what do you know about glycosylation?
Ooh,
Nobody
that's a
knows
new
about
one.
glycosylation. Right on.
That wasn't on
So,
my test.
so the glycobiome, the glycocalyx, are critical to survival of the human body. So I see some plants outside your window, and
Mm-hmm.
outside my window are many plants. That's the glycocalyx.
Hmm.
Without plants in the soil and without sugars on your cells, you would be dead. There would be no life. So there are approximately 9 sugars that circulate in your bloodstream. We don't ever measure them,
Mm.
because every protein must be post-translationally modified. So you and I are having this conversation, and I'm moving my hands and arms. I'm speaking. I'm looking around. I'm seeing. I'm sensing. Those are neurotransmitters. They're sensing our environment. How
Mm-hmm.
fast must you make those?
Pretty quick.
Okay, so now, which do you think is faster, making new energy or neurotransmitters?
Probably neurotransmitters because they're all the time.
You better believe it. So the glycocalyx and the glycobiome and glycosylation. So sugars are added to proteins in the endoplasmic reticulum at the speed of light. Okay. So every cell of our body has a nucleus. Okay. And that nucleus, except red cells, that nucleus is sending signals via RNA to the endoplasmic reticulum to gather amino acids and make a long chain amino acid particle called a protein.
Mm-hmm.
All proteins, all of them, are either glycosylated, methylated, phosphorylated, oxalated, ubiquinated, just to name a few of them. Glycosylation is the addition of a sugar, glucose, galactose, mannose, fucose, N-acetylglucosamine, N-acetylgalactosamine. Ever heard of those?
Mm-hmm. Some of
Most
them.
people have most people never
A
heard of
few
all
of
of them.
them.
Right
Yeah,
on.
not all of them.
So ultimately, if sugar is for energy, and does that mean, and then fat is for energy, okay, where's the switch? Can you really know it, or it's theoretical? It's all theoretical, because you can never measure glycogen. And does it make any sense that your glycogen goes to zero and then suddenly you burn fat? It doesn't. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
So I question everything. And glucose is for glycosylation,
Yeah.
and fat is the fuel and the building block of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And when you eat fat, what happens to the microbes in your gut?
Well, yeah, you're feeding those microbes
Not when you
with
eat fat.
not
You,
when with
you
fat
kill
though.
them.
Yeah, that's what I was
You
just gonna
kill
say.
them.
So with fat, oh, okay.
And you want to kill them because they want to kill you.
So you're killing off the bad bacteria. You're saying all
Okay.
bacteria is
Okay.
bad. There's no bad or good.
So good fat and bad fat. Is
Yeah.
that a true statement?
Well, yes, trans fat, healthy
Okay. No, no,
natural
no, no, no,
fat.
no, no. Okay. No, look at
Different school.
animal fats, plant oils.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have created a language that is so confusing to most normal people. Okay.
True.
So where do you get fat from an animal? Where do you get trans fats? I mean, who made that one up? I mean, all the fats are in our body. We have saturated, unsaturated fats. We have them naturally in our body. Okay.
Mm.
So this idea of trans fats, so when you cook fat, does that damage the fat cells? It does.
It does when you're
When
cooking
you
fats, yes.
when you cook meat, does that damage the protein cells? It does. Okay. So
Mm.
every cell of our body has a fatty membrane called a phospholipid membrane.
Mm-hmm.
And that membrane contains amino acids, proteins that are embedded in the wall. Okay. And there are sugars that come out of those protein and lipids that are the barcode, the satellite of your body.
Mm-hmm.
Without it, you're dead. So we glycation versus glycosylation. I'm throwing a few terms and I apologize. Once I kind of clear the smoke here a little bit,
Yeah.
because everyone knows
Perfect.
about glycation.
Yes. Huge.
Glycation, advanced glycation end products. Hemoglobin A1C is glycated hemoglobin. Do plant sugars glycate every single cell of your body?
Yes.
Yes. Can they damage every single cell of your body? They can. Every hormone, every molecule in your body is damaged by plant sugars, because plant sugars are foreign sugars to our body. We can eat them.
Because we're not a plant.
We're not a plant, but they make them in order to control and kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Because does a plant want to be eaten?
If he wants to kill you.
That's correct, or control you. And if you think about it, this is the radical stuff. And I'm probably just talking crazy right now, but what if everything we're taught is wrong?
Well, that's what I would say. I always feel that it is.
It absolutely is. So number
Yeah.
one, we're all born athletes. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to run in order to be an athlete. You're born an athlete, just like you're born a lion. You're not born a pig, cow, or sheep. But if I feed you like a pig, cow, or sheep, you become a domesticated animal,
Mm.
easily controlled. You easily get sick. You acquire a drug initially made by plants. Now they're made by an industrial plant that makes you need me as a doctor.
Mm.
You need me. And you cannot give up heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine very easily, can you? Why are these terrible substances? Because when you touch them, it's a death sentence for
Mm-hmm.
so many people, unfortunately. And fruit, fiber, vegetable, seeds, and nuts contain those same chemicals. That's why we can't give them up very easily.
You say you're saying fruit is just as bad as vegetables with seeds in them?
Yep, 100%. Because so remember, the plant wants you to eat their fruits
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't want you to eat their fruit. Okay, so now let's just say you and I are eating a fruit that we picked off a cherry tree, okay, or an apple tree. would we eat the whole fruit, including the seed?
No.
Yes, we would.
Well, yes, depends what side of seed it is.
Right. But would you, no, just think about us in nature, hunting and
Yeah,
gathering. You killed this animal, you eat all of it, you found some berries or sweet. Would you spit out the pit or would you likely eat it whole?
probably you did a whole.
You got it. Do we eat the pits whole today? No, we
Yes.
don't. We grind them
Okay.
up.
Oh,
Well, seeds and nuts,
yes.
flours, all ground up seeds and
To make
nuts,
flowers.
almond milk, oat milk, coconut milk, right?
Mm.
Right? Is
We
there
grind
such thing
everything.
as we grind it all up and then we take the juices? Do those plants make chemicals and substances to control and kill you? Yes, they do. See, they
Mm.
want you to poop it out in order to fertilize their seeds, but we don't do that in the modern world, do we?
Hopefully
Right?
not.
We don't. We're basically eating the wrong diet, and people think, well, fruits and vegetables are good for me because we market them that way,
Mm.
right? Coffee is good for you, right? A glass of wine to a pregnant woman. Do you know the American College of OBGYN recommends a glass of wine to a pregnant breastfeeding woman?
They do? I thought
Yes, they
that
do.
so it was
Okay,
no alcohol. Huh.
okay. Well, no, no, no. In the American College of OBGYN, plant-based, lean meat, no red meat, and red wine.
Hmm.
Okay, so
That's
now,
yours. It's messed
so
up.
can we trust anyone? So now, so you, along with many other women and men, are suffering from infertility. What
Mm.
causes infertility?
Eating certain bad foods that
Yes,
are not helping me.
but when we use the word bad foods,
Mm. Yeah.
the marketing, remember, we're used to marketing good food, bad food, good boy, bad boy. Wrong religion, good religion, right
Yes.
politics, wrong. So we're fed with
Good or
sound
bad.
bites of good or bad. And so now you got to step back and you got to know, wait a minute, is that really true? And that's how I come to this world and said, wait a minute, I ate a healthy diet for years. My best friend David ate a healthy diet. He died of cancer. What causes cancer?
Sugar,
Where does sugar come
inflammation,
from? Where does sugar come from?
fruit, vegetables.
Vegetables, seeds, nuts, plants.
Mm.
That's all it is. And what happens to proteins when you eat them?
Mm. Well, you break them down amino acids and you build your
And where,
tissues and muscles up.
okay, so now, if I eat protein and don't exercise, will my muscles grow big? They will not.
And they will not, but they wouldn't help preserve muscle.
Nope. Because our muscles are not depleted by not eating.
Mm.
Our
Yes.
muscles are depleted and atrophy from lack of use.
Abuse. Yes, for sure.
So a bear hibernates 5 months after gaining 1,000 pounds. And if they don't gain enough weight, they will not implant the fertilized egg. During that 5 months of hibernation, nesting, they grow 1 to 4 babies. They lose only adipose tissue. They lose no muscle mass or bone mass. So question everything. Fat is for what reason in our body?
Yeah,
Everything.
fat.
Everything. And how many people do you know that eat fat?
Well, it depends who you follow. I know people that are just eating stick of butter and meat. But yeah, so they're not, if you look outside of our community, there's people are scared of eating fat because they were told, as you said, there's good and bad, and what is healthy is not what we thought it was. It's being given misinformation of what is a healthy diet to help us thrive as
Yeah.
we age or be more fertile. It's
Well,
incorrect. As the Diabetes Association guidelines too are horrible. And American Heart
well,
Association.
well, my sister died of diabetes, and I now know why. And you're right, American Heart Association, American Diabetic Association, they take money from the pharmaceuticals and from the food industry, which is controlled by a very small arm of money. Remember, the same people that controlled slavery thousands of years, they're still the kings and queens of the world that control the weapons. They control the peasants, prisoners, slaves, and soldiers. They determine the message. And the
Mhm.
message is so powerful that we believe it, but we need to become wild type animals again in the sense of our understanding of who we are. Now, I personally have faith in a higher power. I believe in God, and I think God is within all of us. When we understand the philosophy of people like Jesus Christ and many other philosophers, human philosophers, AKA gods, because we're all the gods. There's nobody knows God any more than you do. You and I are the gods. We're the creators of our world because your brain creates the story of your world. You control that story, you change it, you can be and do anything you want to do.
Wow. This is in-depth seminar today. Very powerful information.
It's simple
So,
though.
yeah, I think it's so important. That's why I love podcasting with people, because you can open your eyes and get a different, look at things differently than you would if you're look at mainstream TV and reading the news. It's just open your eyes to something else that's not being told, and think outside the box and go, that makes sense. You gave all the data, gave the evidence, and it's good for people to think about it, and then how to incorporate it into your own life. So going to people that are different ages in stages of life, if they're trying to start a family, and then there's, us older people that are post-menopause ages, and then men and the hormones as we age change. When you say the word eat fat and we talk about keto, carnivore, I think over the years since we started the show 12 years ago, talking about keto, it got over the years kind of tarnished because the food industry got involved and everyone thought eat as much fat as you want, it doesn't matter. But then it got to be not clean and more inflammatory fats, maybe, or processed foods and garbage instead of eating natural fat. So how do you describe, eating more fat and protein? And we've talked a lot about prioritizing protein. We hear about the 1 gram of protein per ideal body fat, and you're talking about healthy fats. We've talked to Elizabeth Bright about 3 times now, and everyone is fascinated by what she's saying too for hormones. So just talk about the importance of fat and protein, and what should we look for? How much?
Well, well, when you eat an animal or you eat a plant, what are the cells of that organism made of?
Plant cellulose,
Okay,
fiber.
every cell of a plant, every cell of a human being, every cell of a cow contains a phospholipid bilayer with interspersed protein, amino acids, and sugars. So, so when you eat adipose tissue, adipocytes cells are made of fat, lipids, cholesterol, amino acid, proteins, and sugars. So now, what's a protein?
What's a protein? Are those amino acid the building blocks
Well,
of
how
the
do you know
body?
what you're getting? When people say I eat
Yeah.
100 grams of protein, I'm like, no animal eats protein. They eat either plants or animals. So we made it all complicated. I have no idea how much protein, fat, or amino acids or sugars I eat because nobody does. It's once again a manufactured number based
Mhm.
on what we've got to give them something because we've got to make a rules, right? And we got to make rules that even though they're not 100%, they're our best guess. So when you eat lean meat, how much protein is in that lean meat compared to how much fat or how much sugars?
Mm.
I actually have no idea.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of protein poisoning?
Protein poison? No.
Protein poisoning, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, diarrhea, death. Do you know anyone that suffers from that?
Well, it depends. I started eating more red meat in 2018 and I was throwing up because I think I wasn't used to digesting it and needed some digest enzymes to break it down because it was too much for me.
No,
No.
you'll never see meat in the toilet. This idea is your glycocalyx and the glycobiome is damaged. You have leaky gut. You have bad digestive system because you're not eating enough fat. And generally, people are eating at least 3 meals a day, if not more, thinking that they've got to fuel their metabolism, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, what's your metabolism of one cell of your body doing right now?
What is it doing? It's working overtime,
It's
nonstop.
always, your metabolism is always working. So when you eat food, you digest it. The amino acids and the simple sugars go to the liver. Insulin goes to the liver. Insulin's job is to do what? Convert amino acids and sugars to fat in the liver. That's the job of
Mm-hmm.
insulin. That's the job of the liver. When you eat fat, and I will tell you, almost nobody eats fat. Even most carnivores do not eat fat. When I say fat, a stick of butter, a hunk of fat, like a stick of butter. So when I eat my steak, it is nearly an A5. It's almost all raw. I know I get fat in my body, and I typically eat 1 meal a day. I typically do a 2 to 3 day fast every month and a 5 day fast January, July. Now, why? Because it's hard to do. It actually cleanses the gut, allows the glycocalyx to heal, which is the sugar layer. Now, do you have a grass lawn? Do you have a lawn?
Not here. We have gravel.
Okay, so but many people have
Yeah.
grass. If you walk all over the grass regularly, what happens to the grass?
It's flattened out, damaged,
Or it
kills.
stops growing or it
Yeah.
dies. Okay, so now if you're eating food all the time, what do you do to the glycocalyx in your gut? You
Killing
wear it
it.
down. Even if you're a carnivore, I don't care what you are, if you're
Mm.
eating so frequently. Now, what are the odds that
Mm.
you ate 3 to 6 times a day 50,000 years ago?
Yeah, probably not. They didn't have that
None.
much food.
No, no, no. You hunted, you
Mm.
followed the herd, and when you killed it, were you going to kind of eat a little bit at a time, or are you going to guzzle it down as fast as you can so that that next predator that come to take your food isn't going to take it?
Yeah, I see them having a big feast.
Better believe it, a lot. A
Yeah.
wolf will chuck it down fast. They barely chew it. And so fatty meat is what you want to eat. Organ meats. When you eat the visceral fat, the organ fat, you get the number one fuel your body wants, which is fat. When you cook the fat, you damage it. And if you look at Pottinger's Cats, it's a great
Mm.
book.
Yeah, we have to go over
Pottinger's
that.
Cats.
Hmm.
So when you cook the meat or pasteurize the milk, the cats are damaged. Uncooked, unpasteurized, they're healthy, and their future generations are healthy. So we might blame some of our fertility issues, by the way, on our past generations. And so it damages the egg, sperm, embryos, and the DNA. It causes glycation, which is the non-enzymatic binding of sugars to every cell of your body. And so what should you eat? Fatty meat, 1 meal a day. Raw is better than cooked, but I know most people go like, whoa. But when you cook meat, open grill or in a pan, how many people save the fat and eat the fat?
We do. That's
But
what we
but
use all the
but
time.
but not
Normal
many
people.
people. But
Yeah.
but saving the cooked fat is not what you want to do. You want to eat the raw fat. That's
Mm.
why butter is a reasonably good thing because it's and if you get it
Not good.
unpasteurized, the best, but it's probably the best. But again, this like I don't do ghee because it's rendered butter.
Mm.
And I don't do rendered fat. I make sure I eat the fat raw in order to suppress and kill the microbes and to allow the fat goes to the lymphatics, chylomicrons, very low density lipoproteins, low density lipoproteins, and high density lipoproteins. Those are those are fat transporters. They also transport amino acids and sugars, minerals, and vitamins from the gut to every cell of your body, and then from the liver to every cell of your body. Does it make any sense that your body would make a molecule that was harmful for you?
No.
It doesn't. Now, visceral fat versus subcutaneous fat, brown fat versus white fat. Are some of them good and some of them bad? Or we maybe labeled them incorrectly because we don't
Mm.
understand fat.
So there's not brown fat's not better than white fat?
Not one bit. It's just
Not
wrong.
because that's more mitochondria in it to burn more calories?
Again, okay, so now if you're an animal who's just gained weight, are you hoping to burn calories fast or slow?
If I just gained weight, well, it depends on what time of year it is, if I'm going to go hibernate.
No, no, no. Is there any animal that purposely wants to be skinny except for dumb
Oh,
human beings?
oh, I don't know. Do they
Well,
not? You want
again,
to
if
be
there's a
skinny and lose
war,
weight?
well, but remember, the fuel for their body is what?
Fat.
Okay, so now if they're running or they have to hide and
Oh,
hibernate, again,
they need
the
that
the
fuel on board.
science, the fuel for the human body is fat. The building block for your body is adipose tissue. Did you know that?
No.
Every mineral, vitamin,
Hmm.
amino acid, simple sugar, and fatty acid, cholesterol comes from where?
Fat.
Adipose tissue, fat. Now, why would your body go to your muscle and say, well, let's take this muscle cell and break it down? It only does that in cachectic, sarcopenic, anorexic, bulimic men and women.
Hmm.
So to understand the science of the human body is fat is your fantastic fertile friend.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's eating lean meat. Your body is like, well, I guess there's a stress or something coming on, like winter. We better pack away the fat, make fat. Where do you make fat? The liver. Out of what? Protein, amino acids, simple sugars, carbohydrates. Do you make
Mm-hmm.
fat out of fat? You store fat if you eat fat, but who eats fat? Nobody.
Hmm.
Is a Mediterranean diet high in fat?
No.
Is
It's supposed to
olive
be.
oil is olive oil a healthy fat? No
Well,
way.
it depends who you ask.
It's a plant oil, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are plant seed oils good for you or bad for you?
Well, according to this information I keep learning, it's not. It's plant more inflammatory.
Well, where did
But
you
then we're
get?
taught it's anti-inflammatory.
Well, look at it is possible that olive oil and coconut oil may be anti-inflammatory, but they're seed oils, correct?
Yes, seed.
Why are they okay, but canola oil and corn oil is not?
The way they're oxidized, processing.
That's the story. But how did you get olive oil and avocado and coconut oil? Did nature make it enough that you could just eat it, or did
Mm.
someone industrially create it and bottle it, and they're telling you how good it is for you?
Yes, well, that's a good question. I know we tried to make it ourselves and it's a lot of work. So no,
Okay, so
by
you
hand, it's
tried to
not going
make
to happen.
okay, so you tried to make what oil?
Olive oil,
Okay, how easy was it?
it didn't happen.
It's right.
That's right.
So
It made me tired again. But yeah, it's a lot of work. So that's probably why they cut corners.
so no disrespect to the Italian because I'm Italian, but it seemed like the mob controlled most of it. And don't you think the story is it's good for you?
Yeah.
Because likely if you didn't take it, you'd have something else bad happen to you.
Yeah. If I don't eat the olive oil, spoonful a day.
But again, it is does any animal except domesticated animals like human beings and other domesticated animals consume food from a plant, a bag, or a bottle?
No, but I'm thinking that we have coyotes and they seemed, well, this is study because they poop in our yard and we have fig trees and you see they poop out all the plant seeds. So they're not, do coyotes eat meat? They eat rabbits and their fur gets left in the poop. So I analyze that. But the seeds are all in the food in their poop. So they don't,
Well,
they try to, but
okay,
they can't digest it.
okay. Is a coyote dumb or smart? All right.
I
So
think they're
now,
dumb.
in the environment we live in, what have human beings done to the natural predator prey interactions in the wild?
Well, we've converted them to be city dwellers.
Right. So we've domesticated them also. So is that their natural environment they're living in right now?
No, because they hang out in my backyard all night. So
Right.
no.
But there's no more, there's coyotes and there's bobcats and there's
Yeah.
mountain lions. Now, but let's just go back 50,000 years ago, okay, or 10,000, 20,000 years ago. Was there likely more natural prey for them?
Probably a lot more because we
Right
built up
on.
homes taking away their land.
So we've got roads, we got fences, we got homes. We've decimated their natural environment. I mean, a bear. Every time I hear someone says a bear, attacked a human being, like that's not natural for them to do, right? I mean, a bear is a carnivore. It sees a human being, it's licking like, oh. But again, we've decimated the natural environment, so you cannot study these animals because they're not in their natural environment. They're
No.
domesticated animals, just like you and I, who eat
So,
things from a bottle, a bag, or a jar, right?
so I'm laughing. I'm visualizing these videos you see sometimes on Instagram, the bears in people's backyards, and they go open up the refrigerators. Is this for real? And then I saw a video of a bear going on the floaties in someone's pool lounging.
Well,
That's a
well,
perfect example. What
let's take
happened?
sea lions. Let's take sea
Yeah,
lions in Newport Beach and or on the coast, right?
yeah, La
They're
Jolla.
carnivores, right? And they're just like lounging around thinking, what are you guys doing to our environment? This is ours, not yours. Listen,
Mm.
when we're gone, the plants will grow, the animals will come back, and they'll be like, "Oh gosh, thank you. What happened to those people?" Oh,
That's funny. So, all right, I know we're gonna run out of time. I'll have to do a
I'm good.
follow-up, but the
Yeah, I've time. I'm
eating
good.
eating organ meats, eating that makes sense. The whole big question is for men versus women, because it's been a big topic last 2, 3 years on OMAD. And for women, we're told we need to eat more throughout the day to get those protein goals for one, and men and women, and that not eating. Because I was doing that, and I was, I exercised 2, 3 times a day when I was training for Ironman kind of stuff. But what do you think? Everyone is okay doing OMAD, or some people that shouldn't do OMAD?
Do women get fatter than men quicker and easier?
Yes,
Why do they?
because we're designed to reproduce and create
You better
human
believe it. What's the fuel for your baby and the building block for your baby?
fat.
Fat. Okay. So this idea of exercise and being skinny is a deadly, deadly thing. And so, what are the odds that you ate 3 to 5 meals a day 50,000 years ago as a human being?
Yeah,
Zero.
pretty minimal.
Okay. So, are we different today than we were 50,000 years ago?
Slightly.
Because we want a drug and
Mm.
we want to
GLP-1.
be 25 until we're 95. Is that going to happen?
Well, I'm trying to be 45 and stay there instead of get older. So
Fine. Look at
trying,
you.
but it not maybe
You
not.
okay? Okay. You are only what you think you are.
Yes.
Okay. So our ovaries and testicles diminish over time. The woman's ovaries are damaged faster. And if you look up goitrogenic foods,
Mm-hmm.
they're the same foods that not only damage your thyroid, but your ovary,
Mm.
testicle, brain, eyes, every cell of your body.
No
So
one ever
when we
says that.
say all these things are good for us, well, why would goitrogenic foods like kale, asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, peanuts, seeds, nuts, soy, um, why would they only go to your thyroid gland?
Yeah. Does it?
Uh,
It's not selective. It just goes anywhere.
It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And so eating the fatty meat is the best thing you can eat. I think organ meats are good because when you killed that animal, you're not going to try to chew on the limbs. You're going to go to the easiest thing to eat, which is the fatty organ meats and the fat uh, completely. And can women fast? You better believe they can fast. You didn't have a choice in saying, well, it's this time of the month and I should eat more. I mean, you're going to hunt food and eat food as best you can. Plus, think about it. What age are most women when they start menstruating?
13,
Okay,
14.
50,000 years
50.
ago, did they wait till you're 20 to have a baby?
No, not according to what are those TV shows of they're
Right.
they're like
Well,
14
but
with babies.
but the
Yeah.
whole point is what are we alive to do?
To keep
Reproduce.
reproducing.
but we've delayed childbearing
Mm.
20s, 30s, and 40s. You've missed the most valuable window. So if you were getting pregnant every other year and you were breastfeeding, how many years did you go without a period? Years. You didn't menstruate. You
Mm.
got pregnant. So is the environment we're living, we're having 0 to 1 or 2 babies, natural?
Yeah, not back then, according to the Game of Thrones, and
Right,
they
right. But
they were having kids.
but we're
Yes.
talking about the human body.
Hmm.
So when we say you can't fast and you have to eat 3 to 5 meals a day, like based on what science? I mean, is it easy to go without
And
food? Is it easy to go without food?
it's much easier. That's why I used to do it all the time, because people don't want to have to think about what they're going to have, and it's just too much work to have a meal.
Right,
Or
but it's but the drive for food is powerful always.
hmm
And so if for food and reproduction, food and fucking, sorry for my language, that's all our drive is, right? Everything
got
we
it.
do, even our podcasting is look at me, because we want to be seen and
Mm.
reproduced. Okay. And so what's the problem of us today? We're we're waiting for the right time. We've missed the right time, but now we're trying to figure out what's wrong with me, and we're simply eating fast food. And is fast food made out of ribeye steak, or is fast food made out of 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 fries and rice and chicken bowls and all this stuff, which is ultimately cokes and coffee,
Yeah. No, that's not
right?
food.
So that's not our natural food.
Mhm.
Now, if you found a fruit in Southern California, now where did those fig trees come from?
Right over there.
Were they naturally there 10,000 years ago,
Yeah,
or did
someone
likely?
planted it.
I mean, I lived in LA in a house where we had figs and plums and peaches and nectarines and avocados, and they were not there all year round. When the summer and fall came, either the rats, flies, or we managed to collect them when they fell to the ground, but we could not eat enough of them.
No.
So ultimately, they either didn't exist in the environment we think we're in, because Southern California is a chaparral, it's a desert, right? There were spots of these areas. So ultimately, any woman could fast. You can eat fat, which is what I recommend, but nobody does that. And I recommend one meal a day, because how many people are trying to lose weight out there?
Most everyone.
Right. So does 3 meals a day make sense if you're trying to lose weight? Why not you just eat one meal a day? And
Well,
does it make sense the more food you eat, the faster metabolism goes?
no, that's why I always challenge that one. Like, how am I supposed to eat? You're supposed to wake up and eat to get your metabolism going. That old theory. It's like, what? How does that make sense?
The worst meal of the day is breakfast.
Hmm.
I do my breakfast at 5 p.m., 6 p.m.
And then, so
Crazy,
you don't,
right?
you have water during the day. What's your kind of your daily
I
routine?
I I drink some water. I do many days of nothing.
Hmm.
I used to be a crazy coffee addict, and I love coffee, but I've been off it now for 5 or 6 months. I didn't do it at all last year. I do occasionally some herbal, non-decaffeinated tea, but rare. Mostly, I drink mineral water, salt, put
Hmm.
salt, and I do some bone broth sometimes, but not that often. And I'll eat raw fatty meat. I'll dry age it, slice it up. I think that is really good. I love eggs, but I just don't eat that much. Look at we all want to be leaner. We don't want to be
Hmm.
fatter, because we equate fat with ill health. But in fact, fat doesn't cause ill health at all. It's if you're skinny and you're sick, you're dead. And so fat doesn't cause disease. I pinch a little bit here and there, but I like being active and doing my stuff and getting up. I like to be able to get up off the couch so that my wife doesn't leave me there one day. Just run out at me. It's
A
like,
good goal to have. Get up off the
yeah,
floor and get off the
right
sofa.
on. That's it. We got to be able to get up by ourselves. So these ideas are kind of radical because what's our standard? Well, 3 to 6 meals a day, eat a wide variety of foods, lots of balance, right? And it's kind of like having girlfriends and boyfriends on the side.
Hmm.
Does that work?
Yeah, not really for long term.
Nope, nope, nope,
As
nope,
long as
nope.
it's a
It's
secret until the secret
yeah,
comes
yeah,
out.
but remember, secrets are only temporary because that's the point of a secret. It's so that it gets out sooner or later. There's no such thing. Someone says, "Well, can I tell you a secret?" I say, "If you tell me anything, someone else is going to know it." That's just what it is.
That is true. It always comes out. So I know we'll have tons of questions because I didn't get to talk more about thyroid and stress because people say not eating enough causes stress. And I know I have another meeting. You probably have stuff going on
I'm
tonight, but
I'm good. I'm good if you want to go a few more minutes. I'm
well,
I'm
I have a
like,
couple minutes. I have a client that I've had for
yeah,
25 years at
you
four
got to go.
o'clock. So I can't
So
mess with
so
him.
so okay, look at what causes inflammation of every cell, organ system of your body.
Well, seed oils, processed food, chemicals,
Plants and
no,
protein. No,
plants,
nope, nope.
protein,
Look at
summarize.
look at I don't blame seed oils because because it's just a distraction from the truth. Plants and proteins are the killers, eating 3 to 6 meals a day. And look at, you're going to die. I'm going to die. Is life stressful? You better believe it is. But without stress, you don't build great things. Life
Yeah.
is full, it's hard, but that's why you have to have faith in God. And the more you read the Bibles of the universe, the stories of humanity, the stressors that build the strength, the better you're going to be in life. That's
Hmm.
what this journey is about.
Yeah, good point. I think that's a big thing is people to stop, pause, and reflect, especially today, this episode of a lot of things he said. And I know you talk a lot on Instagram and you share a lot of videos and lives. People can learn more and go a little deeper. But I think it's just, think about everything because it's opposite of what we're taught. And even what we think we're learning now is, what you bring up is a lot of, as you making me do, stop, question what we believe and think outside the box and try to, figure out who planted that fig tree out there and how did they make those olives from the olive tree into olive oil and hold the processing part of it. So I think it's, I always love going down different rabbit holes, but stopping and going a little deeper in things to understand, as I always wonder how does this happen? Why does this happen? How does this work? And I think it sounds like
Yeah.
what you've done over the years.
I question everything. It's really been a pleasure being here with you, by the way, and
Yeah,
I'm grateful to you sharing your story. And I'd be glad to share more at some other time.
for
And
sure.
we're blessed to be alive. And the ability to podcast is the game changer. The
Mm,
ability to share globally is so critical. And be open to listen and learn, but question even me. Don't believe
yeah,
me because there's only one person who experiment on your life, and that's you. And
you.
doctors don't know any better than you. Sorry.
That's why I say it's all N equals one experiment and
Yeah,
learn about yourself. And I think a lot of people, especially that are looking for answers in social media and podcasts, they're just like, oh, that's what they're doing. I need to do that instead of, does this work for me? Does this resonate with me? How does this make me feel?
that's what we're here to do: share and question everything. And we have to do it every day until the day we
Yes,
die. And then hopefully you've shared some things that are going to pass on to other people. They're going to learn and move on.
love that. So great. Now, what's
Debbie,
your website? Where do you want to send people to your socials to learn more
Dr.
about you?
drkiltz.com is the best place. And on doctor spelled out doctorkiltz.com, you could find Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X, Y, and Z, all those things. But
Yeah.
I got stuff on Amazon and all these things. I just love sharing because we're all one. We're all God's children. And the more we
Yeah.
can do this together and listen and learn together, whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, pescatarian, or carnivore, we are all the gods. That's all you
Yes.
need to know.
Yeah, love that. Well, thank you so much. And we'll try to schedule a part two to go in more, so a little bit deeper. And you guys send in your questions so we can ask questions on a part two someday.
All right, Debbie, I look forward to it. Thanks, everyone. God bless.
Great.